Yo, if this wasn't the most gangster chapter of One Piece, then I don't know what is. And it took a gangster to make a gangster. I'm talking about Capone. Like, honestly, this chapter of One Piece definitely felt like a huge homage to The Godfather. Flat out, like, some of the dialogue and everything is like, this was taking a nice little glance at The Godfather and putting it in One Piece in a very cool way. Because honestly, it felt very cool. Like, I just felt like, yeah, I'm a badass. I'm reading One Piece right now. There's gangsters in this shit. So honestly, one of the big misconceptions I feel as though after reading this chapter that a lot of people are going to have, but nevertheless, is people think because Capone, which by the way, Capone, mastermind, really fucking smart shit. What he's trying to accomplish right now, it showcases that there was a reason why he's part of the worst generation, okay? Like, he is not a fluke, even though at the end of, right before the time skip, it looked as though he got wrecked and shit like that. Like, there's a reason why he is a part of the worst generation, and this chapter shows it clearly. Like, finding out his backstory of how this motherfucker would look at people and animals and all sorts of shit just bleed out, and their bodies, like, fucking shaking and shit after dying. I was like, okay, so Capone was a nasty motherfucker in his young days. Like, it didn't change much. He's just more of a corporate business type of dude, still doing sly shit on the side. Now, I'm assuming that, yeah, Capone, he really will go through any lengths to get what he wants. Because you gotta think for a second, if I'm not mistaken, he has a child with one of Big Mom's daughters. So he really went the distance to get what he wants, which in essence is fucking awesome and cool as shit. Like, Capone is that calculative. But one of the things that I think people are forgetting is Big Mom is not no fucking sucker. Big Mom is not an idiot. Just take a second to think about for a second. She knew everything about Sanji. She knew his backstory. She knew everything about what was going on with him. Do you think for a second that she's rolling with Capone and not realizing what the fuck Capone is? Do you think that she's stupid enough to not, look at Capone and be like, I'm watching you, bro. I know about you. You were fucking taking the heads of all sorts of leaders and shit like that. You think you take them? Like, Big Mom is not an idiot by any means. She's not a fucking dumbass. So I honestly think that even though Capone is planning something huge for this ceremony, this tea party, all this shit, it's not going to go down the way Capone is planning. I think that Big Mom is steps ahead as well. She's just like, oh yeah, Capone, welcome to the family. But in actuality, she's also planning shit. So things is going to be 110% fucking insane when this shit goes down, which I'm glad we're only a short amount of time away, because I think they said in this chapter what things are supposed to start in like 6 hours, 5 hours. So probably, which is what I said reviews ago, Sanji is going to go through with the marriage. He's gonna walk up and everything is gonna look like it's, going according to plan, possibly, go down the aisle with pudding and shit like that. So we are gonna see some sort of wedding. It is going to appear as though it's gonna happen, because based off this chapter, which honestly, this was great development for Luffy, because everybody always says Luffy's an idiot, which Luffy does exhibit a lot of traits of like, whoa, shit, this guy's dumb. But the fact that this chapter, he said, you know what, Jinbei? I like that idea. Fuck it. Yeah, Capone is a piece of shit, but maybe we could use this motherfucker to take down Big Mom, because if Capone is already planning on taking down Big Mom, Straw Hat, he only has, a select amount of people with him. Why not team up? And then at the same time, once the Vinsmokes catch wind of what Big Mom's trying to do, we got the Vinsmokes, we have Capone's people, and we got the Straw Hats, which is a decent selection, which I'm kind of curious if throughout New World, Luffy's going to team up with different members of the worst generation to try and take down the Yonko, because last time he teamed up with Law, and it was a fucking struggle and a half to take down fucking Doflamingo, which Doflamingo wasn't, necessarily a Yonko, but nevertheless, maybe that's what's going to happen throughout every situation. We'll have one person or a group of people from the worst generation to team up and go through shit, just like with Kaido. I'm sure there's going to be some big shit, because if you think about it, I think it was Scratchman Apu, if I'm not mistaken, is, rolling with Kaido. But if Scratchman Apu was that easy to ditch, Kid and fucking Hawkins and shit like that, I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to take down Kaido at some point. He's just waiting for the right opportunity. So maybe this will be par for the course with One Piece throughout the remainder of the time skip, is that they're going to team up with Luffy to take down these big threats. And not only that, but whenever shit gets seriously real, don't forget about the entourage, the onslaught that he built up in Dressrosa. He has a shit ton of people in Dressrosa as well. So I think seeing Capone here and being another ally, at least for the time being, because Luffy does want to stomp a mud hole in his ass for what he did to Peckham's, it makes sense that we're going to be seeing the worst generation time and time again teaming up with the Straw Hats. Now, with all that being said, I'm kind of curious how things is going to play out, because we know that there's going to be a lot of people at this thing. So even if Capone has a great master plan, on top of the fact that Big Mom, I'm sure, is aware of something Capone might try to pull, because she knows that, I mean, if she knows his backstory, which she probably does, if she knew everything about Sanji, she's not going to be just, oh yeah, letting him go freely. She's watching that motherfucker. Which, quickly to note, I fucked up in my last review, and people made sure I knew I fucked up about Bobbins, that, okay, it was actually Capone that did it. It wasn't Sanji's kick. I didn't see the, panels clearly. I fuck up. I'm human. We make mistakes. It is what it is. This chapter clarified that it was Capone that did it, which that's some good shit. That's some good foreshadowing that Capone ain't playing, bro. Capone is the real fucking deal. And of course, the chapter was definitely set up a lot of, conversation with Chopper and them planning once again, which Jinbei, there's something always about Jinbei ever since he came back into things after having that Russian roulette, which, it seems as though, yeah, he did cower out. It came out in the news and all that shit, but I don't know. It's like, he's gotten really methodical to the point of like him already setting things up, because at the end of the chapter, Capone knew that Jinbei already had this meeting set up for him and Luffy. And the thing about Jinbei is he should already say, yeah, oh, by the way, I'm a Straw Hat now, because Luffy respects Jinbei greatly. Luffy really respects him. Like, I don't think if another person would have presented him with this plan, he wouldn't necessarily go along with it. I think it's because of Jinbei and who he is and how Luffy looks at him that he went along with it. And again, it's good development on Luffy's side that he's actually thinking like, okay, this sounds like some good strategy, let's do it, which it showcases development. And I like that. We need some shit like that from time to time with the characters, especially the main character, Luffy. So good shit on that regard. And honestly, the entire chapter, a lot of setup, but some interesting plays. And I think the best thing about this chapter yet again, Capone, the Godfather references, and just seeing everything that he's planning on doing. And he's like, yo, Straw Hat don't go according to plan, that motherfucker gonna be sleeping with the fishes. Like, I fucks with it. Honestly, a good chapter nonetheless. A lot of setup. Some of the stuff, like Sanji and Chopper and all them crying, comedic purposes, and even adding the typical Chopper joke like, oh, just because you compliment me doesn't mean I'm gonna feel better, you bastard. Like, so typical One Piece stuff in that regard, but still a very good setup chapter. I want to say anywhere from 7.5 to an 8 for this one. It was good setup, a little bit of sluggish stuff here or there, but nothing horrible. And I mean, everything, once Jinbei really started diving into Capone's past and finding out the plan that he has in place and everything he's trying to put in motion, is like, this could get interesting. And is also setting up a believable victory, assuming that we actually go toe-to-toe with Big Mom, or we have some big battle with Big Mom, because it's not just the Straw Hats. If it was just the Straw Hats against, the Yonkos, on top of the fact that in this chapter was set up Jinbei saying we're gonna have all these powerful opponents, it would seem like, how the fuck Luffy came out on top of all this? But the fact that we're going to have all the straw, well, not all the Straw Hats, but every Straw Hat that we have on the island at this point, we're going to have Capone's people, we're going to have the Vinsmoke once they find out what's going on. It's going to feel more credible and more believable when Luffy does take down Big Mom. So good shit in that regard. But I'm kind of curious what people think about this chapter. First of all, do you honestly underestimate Big Mom enough to think, oh, she doesn't realize who Capone is, know about his past and what he's capable of? Like, it's Big Mom. She does her due diligence. Also, what do you think about this plan that they have in motion? Do you think that they're going to set things up where Sanji's going to make believe he's still, pudding, and he's going to go down the aisle with her, and that's how we're going to actually see what seemingly is a wedding until Capone's plan starts, taking place? Also, it seems as though next chapter, we're going to have the meeting with Capone. How you think that's going to go? Is like, Jinbei really needs to be over Luffy's shoulder all the way. He has to watch him, because Luffy will say some crazy shit, and Capone he's not playing, bro. He's busting his gun, so things might go crazy even before the big fucking party goes down. So that's going to be interesting to know. And overall thoughts of the chapter, honestly, is like, this was a different direction for One Piece a little bit, and definitely a really great direction for Luffy's character. I mean, we've seen instances from time to time where, like, at the end of Dressrosa, when Luffy was like, yo, how much are we going to keep on running? When are we going to stop and say, yo, no more running, it's time to take these people on? We're never going to get to our goal if we don't start fighting right now. That was one instance of his character development. Another one is listening to a great idea of trying to do some sneaky shit, but nevertheless come out on top versus Big Mom. And that's how he's planning on taking out a big Yonko. It's like, that's good strategy and good development on Luffy's part. So yeah, again, 7.5 to an 8. Probably gonna lean with the 8 because Capone was on his shit. This one, like, that boy is with the shits. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, Have an awesome day. Yo, Capone, you a real one, bruh.